Well, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in and join me. Put your name in the chat and let me know where you're from. Come on in. This is our Black Hair Matters, and this is a platform that is safe for you for you to get information that has been vetted and that is definitely specifically for your needs, your hair educational needs. So come on in. Come on in and put your name in and let me know where you're from. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Come on in. This is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I am excited today because we are talking about a topic that is something that I experience all the time, and that is the hurts from stylists. And so I want to talk about some of the stories that I've heard from people communicating with me about, how they've been disappointed and how they feel that things need to change. Hello, hello. Thanks for coming in, Nia. I am, I'm in Chicago, and this is a beautiful day. I am loving the fact that we haven't had too many cloudy days here in Chicago. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming. And Nikisha, thanks for coming again. Hey, hey. Come on in. We are going to talk about our Black Hair Matters and specifically how it matters from the perception of consumers and clients and how they feel about their stylists and stylist hurts. Hey, how you doing, Miss Cheryl? Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. And if you can let me know where you are from, that would be awesome. Where are you at? Yesterday, we had someone all the way from Sweden, so that was exciting to see. Yeah, let me know where you're from. Over east, it is 9. Laverne, all right. Hey, hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. All right. Yeah, you are in New Jersey, so straight up noon for you. Columbus is Eastern time. I believe Nikisha is here in Chicagoland. Cheryl is Central Standard Time in Alabama. Thank you for joining. And so while we are waiting for people to come in, those of you who have joined, if you can actually just let us know if there was ever a time that you were hurt by your stylist, whether it be just not satisfied, you feel that a treatment that was supposed to be done was done wrong, anything. We've all had them. We've all had them. I would say the biggest hurt that I had probably was a haircut. I felt that, so as a typical client, I know a lot of stylists would roll their eyes in the back of their head thinking about how as a stylist or a professional, how much hair should be removed to remove like all the dead ends. And so it's like this never ending debate, how much is too much, right? And so I've been very fortunate that I haven't had a stylist like ruin my hair in any capacity, but what I have had is someone cut my hair too much. Thank you for joining, Shaquille. Thank you, thank you. All right. All right. In the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, thank you for joining. Really appreciate that. Here, hair color gone wrong. Ooh-wee. That is, you know what? I feel sorry for stylists when it comes to hair color because stylists don't know the history that you have done to or what the history of your hair is. So, and that is based on what you've done to your hair. So they have to, use their planned, I'll say formula, the formula that they have to say, okay, here's where you're starting and here's where you want to go. And so one trick that I used, and of course I only did this because of my position, and I was able to do it just because I'm just kind of nerdy like that. But one of the things that I did before I got my hair color is I saved up all my hair strands. So, and trust me, it took like at least a month for me to just accumulate enough hair strands and for me to align them. And I did it from root to tip. And then I actually took the swatches into my hairstylist and was like, okay, let's test what the color is going to be and how long it's going to take the process. So I was able to do that. But like I said, I'm just kind of nerdy like that. But I know from just working in the industry that it's not a simple formula because if you don't have the background information about the hair quality and what it can and cannot take, then it's kind of hard. So I understand why you're disappointed with the hair color fiasco. You say you have locks and your hair colored and absolutely dried it out. Oh yeah, major damage. Yeah, that is really, really tough because I do know with locks, there are specific products that are recommended to make sure that your locks look good and are well maintained. And sometimes there may be incompatibility issues. So I do understand how it can dry it out. Question is, I have a really dry scalp. I grease and grease my scalp, and the next day it's dry again. It gets so dry until it sores. Okay, what can I do about dry scalp, or what can I put on my hair to keep it moist and not wake up with a dry scalp? All right, so you need to go to a dermatologist ASAP, and I want to say a dermatologist who, well, most dermatologists can really handle your condition because not all conditions aren't necessarily the specialty of particular dermatologists. But for your dry scalp condition, I believe a board certified licensed dermatologist can actually help you, because what it sounds like is that you probably have more than just dandruff. You actually may have something that I have, which is seborrheic dermatitis. And seborrheic dermatitis presents itself as a dry scalp because you see the what I have happened to my scalp when it's like really inflamed and a really bad bout of the seborrheic dermatitis is I can take and I should have some combs and stuff so I can be popping them up to show. But I usually use like a fine tooth comb, or I used to, I don't do that anymore. And you kind of lift it up and it's like a sheet. It looks like your scalp is just kind of being lifted up, and then when you lift it up, it's kind of red and sometimes it can start to bleed. So I understand it. So you need to go to a dermatologist and they'll be able to give you some medication that'll help. But one thing that I would advise is a lot of the medication that they subscribe is very drying to the hair. So then we're like, oh, I don't want to use it because it's going to dry my hair. And so you want to make sure that you apply it to the scalp and work it into the scalp and then follow it up. But you have to try to keep your follow-up conditioning shampoo actually on your hair fibers. So that is a trick that I use, and I have it under control, and I haven't had a problem for a number of years now. But I do understand your pain, Cheryl. So make sure you seek out a dermatologist. No problem, no problem. And so, Nikisha, I think you were saying smart thinking because of me getting all my hair fibers together and pre-testing it. But yeah, I knew better because I knew that my hair, with it being relaxed at the time, as you know, relaxing and coloring can really wreak havoc in terms of the amount of damage because your hair is already weaker with the relaxer and then you put color on top of it. And so it's a double treatment. And so I wanted to make sure, one, that my hair could take it, and then two, what would be the color that I actually wanted. And so we tested at the time, I believe, 3 different levels of color. So, or I should say volume levels. All right. So it seems like we are all in here, and I want to get started today. I want to talk about stylist hurts, so really focusing on some of the stories that I've heard. And so I want to start with a survey that I did about a year ago. And I just did it on Facebook with my public page or personal page. And I just wanted to know how many people were satisfied and trusted stylists. And I was surprised at how many people did not trust stylists. And the one of the reasons why I wanted to know is because I work with hair practitioners who are serious about making changes in the right direction, because as our Black Hair Matters is really fundamentally giving us not only the platform, but also giving us empowerment. So it's education, empowerment to really elevate the industry. That's really what's needed. And so as I empower stylists with knowledge so that we can work together to really help in terms of research needs, I wanted to know or have a pulse on how people felt about it. And so with that, I had probably about 20% of people like, I want to have nothing to do with them. I am done. And I was surprised because I really do feel that the population who cares about their hair really needs stylists. And so when people hear about what I do as a professional, they come to me and ask me all these questions. And I mentioned yesterday that really people want to look and feel beautiful. And while I can give you all the education until, your ears are bleeding, the truth of the matter is I can't style hair. So when you come with questions about what you should do with your hair, and we'll get into that momentarily, I have an answer that really isn't necessarily satisfactory to you, which is why the stylists are important. So I want to take a pause here and make sure that I can answer some questions. Hello. Really appreciate you guys joining. Hey, Renee. Hello, Amy. Hello, Chiquita and Carrie, you guys are awesome. Okay, do you trust your stylist? Yes, that is the question. And hello, Vicky. All right, you want your stylist to care about the health of your hair and not what is easiest for them. Whoo, that is so true. You can put more in the chat about that because I have a story about that. I had a good discount at a particular place where I was getting my hair done. And when I started growing, the first time I started growing my hair out natural, I have a tightly coiled pattern. And so 4C for those of you who are into curl types. And the stylist would and not really want to do my hair. And I was like, I want that negative energy above me. And so I actually stopped going there, even though I was getting a discount, because I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. If you're not willing to put the love into my hair that I want for myself, then I don't want you doing my hair. So I do understand that sometimes if you don't have a stylist who not only cares about the health of your hair, but wants to make it convenient for them, because at the time it would have been more convenient for them to actually have my hair relaxed because they can, get me in and out real fast. And I get that. That's why I wore my hair in the relaxed state for so long, because it was easier for me to manage. And so I'm not one of those diehard people, oh, you have to have your hair natural or you have to have your hair relaxed. I understand just from personal experience that sometimes you have a relaxer just because you want to make your day easier. And as we have so many things that we put on our plate every day and every week, anything that we can do to make our lives easier, I definitely understand. But to be knowledgeable and make sure that your hair can take it, that's really what's important. So, hey Dee, thanks for joining. Good morning. You do your own hair for that very reason. Yeah. Well, so some of us are very fortunate to be able to accomplish or have results that we are satisfied with. But from my understanding, from interacting with a lot of people and getting their feedback and the questions that they have for me, a lot of people are not able to do it. So that's why the stylists are really necessary. Amy, exactly, or they blow it out so straight that often that you have heat damage. That is correct. And that is what's easier for them. And without that clear understanding, then there can be opportunities for you not to get what you want and to have that damage. So no, I understand. One of my daughters refuses to get her hair heat processed for that very reason. She does not want to have heat damage. And so it's understandable. It took forever for me to like the way my hair looked. Yeah. You go through that awkward phase, right? You get it short, you cut out the relaxer, and then it grows out, and you see all these images of long hair, and it could be more versatile depending upon how your style is or your personal preference. But I do understand sometimes if you want it to be longer and for it to hang and do what you want it to do, it takes some time. And you're so sweet. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. All right, so today, in talking about hair hurts, I really wanted to focus on some questions. And one of the questions is, how do you know which product is right for you? That is a question that is like the number one question that I am asked all the time. And I mentioned earlier that I oftentimes disappoint when people ask me that, and I want to tell you why and things that we need to consider to answer that question for yourself. So the short answer is it depends. And it depends on a lot. But to keep it simple, let's take baby steps. And the first thing I want to talk about is like, what problem do you have? What is the problem that you're having? Because that will dictate, what products will be recommended. But then it goes further than what problems you're having, because if you're having like hair breakage, if you're having hair loss, if you are having problems with what you perceive as lack of growth, these are all things that need to be considered in terms of a recommendation. And sometimes it's not even a product that's going to fix it. Sometimes you need a specific professional, or you need to change the way you groom your hair that will actually help out in that capacity. So that's why it's good to have a professional to talk to, so that you can have a proper consultation to really get at the root of the problem, so to speak, right? And so let me see, I saw some questions. Oh, Judy saying hello. Finally able to catch the live. Thank you for coming, Judy. Really appreciate it. And so one, we talked about what problems you have. So that is something that needs to be considered when it comes to product recommendations. But then what do you do to your hair? So what I do to my hair and the products that I use for my hair would be totally different than the products that I should say what I do to my hair now would be totally different than the products that I used when I had a straight style. So these are things that need to be considered. So what are you ultimately trying to achieve in your hairstyle? So do you want free flowing hair? Do you want it to be sculptured? Because I was talking about that last night in my class. Sometimes as a stylist, you may have a particular niche that you're in when it comes to styling. Maybe you don't like to do braiding. Maybe you like to, style and sculpture the hair. And so a lot of the waxes and the polymers that are the ingredients in the products, the ingredients in the products that you would need to have your hair stay the way you want it to stay, that's totally different. Or if you wear extensions, that need in terms of product is different as well. Mentioned earlier with Taria, she says she wore locks. I hear it all the time from locticians that there are particular products that allow the hair to look a certain way. So those products are different. So, I mean, it's not a one size fits all. And then, do you like add heat to your hair? Do you air dry it? And then we also talked about braiding. So the ingredient or the products that you need for those particular styles or the way you actually manipulate your hair, that will play a role in you determining what products are for you. So that is why my answer to that question is it depends. And so as we continue down this journey, I will have experts on who will be able to speak to that very thing. So while we're not going to get into the details right now, definitely in 2021, when I start my interviews with the professionals in the field who have been vetted, meaning that not only do they have experience, but there is data to back up what it is they're talking about. That's really what we want to focus on for this particular platform. So before I go on, let me make sure. Yes, so we are good with questions. All right. So that was the short of the, gave a little bit more detail, but the short of the answer to the question of what products are best for my hair is it depends. You have to depend on all, consider all those factors. What problem do you have? What do you do to your hair? And then what style are you ultimately wanting to achieve, right? All right, so the second question is, what do you need to know to select the right stylist for your needs? And there are a lot of things that need to be considered. And so once again, kind of feeding from what I was saying in terms of what your needs are, and I hit on this a little bit, it really is depend upon, what you want. What is the end result? And if you do have problems, is that particular professional vetted in a way that would make it satisfactory to you for them to be able to work on your hair? Some people are motivated by finance. They're like, oh no, they cost too much, I'm gonna stay away from them. So just know that if you don't do your homework, it could be a reason why they charge so much. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. But what are your needs and desires, and do they have the credentials to actually handle that? So I'm not going to go to a loctician when I want free flowing hair. If that's not their area of expertise, then I definitely wouldn't go to them. So just knowing and being able to match it up. Knowing what their network is, because for example, if you are going through some health challenges and you are seeing a dermatologist, and the dermatologist recommends that you use a particular product. So when we first started talking, I was talking about my seborrheic dermatitis. And sometimes, no, a lot of times, every time I've gone to a stylist and I break out, with my medication, some of them are like, oh, I really hate how this makes your hair feel, but a trained stylist knows how to handle that. And so applying it directly to the scalp to avoid the hair fibers, but still ultimately getting to the root of the problem, that really can make all the difference. And so having a stylist who understands that that's a need that you have, then that is important. But you need to vet them yourself to be able to say, okay, this is someone who has experience in this area, so this is someone I'm going to go with because of my specific need. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. And you are MD Rubo Rana. Appreciate the love. Really appreciate that love. And so making sure that your needs are met. If you are having health issues and you're seeing an endocrinologist, for example, and they understand, the drugs and the interactions, all of that is important. I know that there are some professionals out there who are craving to be connected with stylists who actually have that background and are sensitive to those needs, because there are physicians who exist who actually want to refer, but you have to present yourself in a way that, one, you are receptive to being able to not only understand what's going on, but to have a balance between beauty and then the health needs, okay? And then experience, credentials, and education. You gotta have someone who is experienced if you want a particular look. And I have a really dear friend. She's like, you got to no hair and no product. She is a cosmetologist, and that is what she says all the time. You got to know hair and you got to know product. And so when you have someone with those expertise, then you can depend on them to have the foundational knowledge of, okay, when I use this product, this is how it makes the hair feel in this particular way, right? And so credentials, being licensed, unfortunately, from state to state, there is no consistency at all. So you definitely need to know what is regulated or what the regulations are in your state. Educational hours for stylists differ. With me being here in Illinois, we are one of the more rigorous states where we do demand that you have continuing education, and that is important because everything is changing all the time. And then credentials. So yeah, if you stay up on your continuing education, that means that you have the credentials. It means that not only are you learning about what's new in the world of how to utilize all the different products that are out there, but you also find out, depending upon the class that you take, you find out about the different interactions and the like hair loss, for example. There's always movement in that space. And so having someone who has those educational credits in the area that is what your needs are, that would be, or will match with your needs, that would be key. All right, and so why continuing education is key, that goes hand in hand, right? And so sanitation is a big one. Especially in the days of COVID, you want to make sure that whomever you are going to see is making sure the space is sanitized. They need to be wearing their mask. They need to be making sure that you wear your mask. They need to be asking the questions as to whether or not you've been around anybody who's sick. I mean, someone who's conscientious about your health is someone that you want, because if they are conscientious about your needs, then you pretty much are more reassured that whatever they're exposed to, that they're taking those necessary precautions to be safe. And so the industry is changing quickly. There are so many products out there. And so they have to stay, meaning stylists have to stay abreast of what is going on. I get asked all the time whether or not I've heard of a particular product. And I would say 90% of the time, my answer is no, I have not heard of it, because there are so many products out there. And so I can't keep up with it. And I am grateful for my network of industry professionals who ask me about different things, because it really helps to keep me abreast of what's going on. But because there are so many products out there, and I mean, as a people, we're always looking for the next best thing, right? So I understand the desire to want to know what would be best, but the best person or the best professional who can help you with that is a stylist who actually is immersed in the field. So that is important. And then product usage, you know, how do you use all the products? And I know that sometimes you have, you know, the cosmetologists who say they're like kind of microchemists, right? They, or I should say pseudo chemists. They're in there and they're mixing up and putting things in, I would say, unlabeled bottles. And I tell people all the time, just stay away from those folks. If you have a professional who feels the need to go into a back room to whip up some concoction, don't do that. Don't let anyone do that to you. You have a right to know what is being put in your hair. And it's important, because if you end up having an adverse reaction and you go to the doctor, and your doctor needs to know exactly what it is that you have exposed your hair or scalp to, you need to be able to tell them. So that's something that is important as well. So I want to know, are there any questions? I don't see any questions coming in, but let's start with what I started off with. Do you know what product is right for you? Are there any questions on that? Or you can address choosing the right stylist. You know, has there been a scenario where you feel that it's been hard for you to choose a stylist. I know sometimes when you move and you're in a new place, you get referrals, and you got to be aware of that as well. I shared yesterday how it really pained me because when I was immersed in corporate America and I was like, okay, I'm no longer going to be styling my daughter's hair anymore. So I got a referral. And everybody was like, here's a person to go to. And I went to that person and I was like, cool, we're good. And my daughter's hair started off one way. And it's so interesting because I give talks sometimes and I'll give snapshots of when when my daughter's hair was being done by me, when she actually went to this hair professional, and then like a year and a half later, the condition of the hair. And it is drastic when you see those snapshots. But in the midst of it, especially when you have a busy life, I had no idea. I just knew that my daughter at the time went to get her hair straightened, so with heat, so she still had natural hair. And the stylist had trained her hair to stay straight. And I didn't realize that that's what she was doing. But for some reason, we had something that we needed to do, and I needed to get my hands in her hair myself and cleanse it. We didn't have time to schedule her appointment and get it done. And as soon as the water hit the hair, I mean, my heart just sank because I knew what was going on with the hair. So sometimes, we're so close to the problem that we can't see it. So being able to vet is very important. So what are some red flags of stylists should be wary of? Yeah. And so one thing that I just mentioned was that, those pseudo chemists that go back and they start mixing up concoctions and they come out and then you ask them questions, oh, what is that? And they're like, oh, I can't tell you. Don't at all. Someone who does not continue to get their education, don't trust that they know what the new, especially when it comes to hair science. And we talk about hair science, I believe, on Thursday. But you have to stay abreast of what's going on, because even though research is happening at a snail pace, which is so, it takes long to do research anyway, but for our hair in particular, the knowledge just isn't there. So you need someone who can at least stay abreast of what's going on. And then to also choose someone who really knows what research is. And when I say that is because I keep hearing two things. I keep hearing some hair practitioners talk about, I'm all about the science. I'm all about the science. And they don't know diddly squat about science. And so one thing that and I'll get more into this tomorrow when I actually address hairstylists in particular, because I think an evolution needs to occur where we really do need to elevate the industry by giving more knowledge. But it's important because all the products out here don't necessarily have data to show that they are effective. So I think as consumers and clients, we need to be asking those questions. And believe me, if you're asking those questions, then it makes the industry move up. Because if they're like, oh, a lot of people are asking this, oh, I need to get my butt in gear and know more about this. So someone who is serious about education, trained, straight hair. Wow, you struck a nerve. Yeah. Yes, Nikisha, training the hair to make it or to keep it bone straight, that is just unacceptable. But that is also, thank you, Nikisha, for that, because when a stylist says that they are going to train your hair, understand what that means. Because if it means that they're going to train it to stay straight so that it won't go back or revert back to its natural curl pattern, stay away. That is not cool. You don't want anyone who's going to train your hair in that capacity, because 9 times out of 10, your hair can't take it. Now, the reason why I got the referral for my daughter is because a lot of people younger, like teenaged age girls, they were going and their hair was long and it flourished in their opinion. But my daughter's hair couldn't take that. And so unfortunately, she paid the price with hair breakage and then having to regrow it out. Let me see. Another red flag. What have I heard? Oh, here is something. When I first left corporate America, I would go and talk to a lot of stylists, and it was one stylist in particular who had a product, and he I went there by referral, so he really didn't have to sell me on anything, but he felt the need to actually talk about his product. And when he was talking about the product, he was talking about the bonds in hair and how if you don't have the right product to neutralize the hair in some capacity, that the hydrogen in the hair will explode and do all these things. And I was like, oh my God, he just shouldn't have said anything. And the reason why I mention that is because sometimes I think as professionals, you want to show that you are educated, but you want to make sure when you talk to stylists that you ask the question that I put forth yesterday, and that is, show me the data. As soon as they start saying that their product or their process is doing whatever, whether it's making the hair explode or it is just stopping breakage, show me the data. That is what we need to do as consumers. Show me the data. And if they can't show you the data, then you need to be thinking twice about it. So this is us working together to elevate the industry. We have to play our part so that we can move in the right direction. You said, watch out when a stylist keeps saying, I'm using these products to bring the pH back down. And all you're getting is a washing style. That's funny, Nikisha. You are absolutely right. Yeah, there's no need to do anything to your pH, your hair's pH, if you are just doing something that's going to cleanse and style. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. He said it sounds like a chemical process. Yes, it does. Oh my God, they really said something will explode in your hair. Yes, I kid you not. I kid you not. The hydrogen that you have in your hair will explode if you don't have this particular product to use to, I guess, prevent it from exploding. I don't know, but yeah, I was very nice, but I did say, as a professional, as a scientist, and particularly as a chemist, I would refrain from saying that things in hair are exploding, especially if you don't have any backup data to support that. So I was very, PC, but yeah, that's what happens. All right, so are there any other questions before we move on and I can prepare you for what's coming for the rest of the week? Tomorrow, if you are a stylist in particular, I want to talk to you in particular because, as you know, things are changing, and I think 2020 really laid the foundation for us kind of having a paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is realizing that there are better ways to do things. And I want to tell you about a couple of examples where I think that the industry has really thought about serving people in a unique way. So that's what we'll be talking about, how to best service people remotely. And then let me see, on Thursday, I am talking about the science of Black hair. So what do we know right now based on what's in the literature and what's been done? I've attended a couple of conferences, and so there are some headway being made, but not enough, which is why I'm continuing to do research myself. And then I want to talk about how lifestyle impacts your hair on Friday, because as a culture, we do things that are unique to us as a culture. So as I mentioned earlier, if you can't identify with Black hair, then this isn't for you, in terms of, now, if you have someone who has Black hair and you care about them and you want to know, then that's fine. But, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of defining what Black hair is, because it is a spectrum. I want to say that if you resonate with the fact of your hair being Black, or you knowing someone who has Black hair and you care about it in some capacity, then this is for you. Once again, this is a platform where it's a safe space for you to be able to find information and ask questions. So if you haven't already become a part of the Facebook group, that is a space where you can ask a lot of questions. I know on the chat here that we've had specific questions, and I will go back and note that. But the place that I would like for us to really engage professionals, consumers, even if you're in the hair care industry and making products, that is a place where I would like to see a lot of dialogue, because I think that there are things that are specific to us and lifestyle, in terms of us wearing braids, in terms of us, I had the comment earlier that Shashira oils her scalp on a regular basis, but still experiences dryness. These are things that aren't unique to you. And so if we have a platform where we can talk about that, and there may be some people who actually have some suggestions. I would have to say that unless it comes from me or someone that I feature as a professional, then you have to, take that in at your own risk. But it still allows us to see what's going on. And as a researcher, that's a way that I can manage what type of information is needed, and so that we can collectively as an industry and as researchers and physicians, we can really understand and get at the root of the problem. Okay, love this. I'm glad to stop by and watch and listen. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. And so join that Facebook group. I have a freebie. So if you go to www.ourhairblackmatters.com, you can fill it out. And I have some of the three of the biggest mistakes that women with curly hair make. And I invite you to get that and read it over, and maybe that can be a topic of future discussions. So with that, thank you. I appreciate you joining. And as always, take care and love your hair. Bye-bye.